Hi, I'm Will Hadcroft and I'm the author of Droyd and Century Lodge. The book had its start as a handwritten manuscript like this. This was supposedly a script for television, although I didn't write for television, but I conceived it that way. The first draft, it says there, 20th of August 1996, so that's when I first thought up Droid and the basic concepts behind it. Then, in the year 2000, I met Callum Kerr of CK Publishing, and in 2002, on the 13th of June 2002, this version of Droid and Century Lodge was published. And then, a couple of years later, in 2004, it was republished in this form by Jessica Kingsley for children with Asperger's syndrome. This is where I was walking with my friend Anthony, and I told him, I've got her name, I've got the character's name. I'm going to call her Droid. Droid the android. And he said, ugh, that's corny. And I said, well, it is corny, but it's just like K9 in Doctor Who, a robot dog, a robot K9, that's called K9. Some of the children will get the joke, the adults certainly will, it's just a bit of fun. And so I saw Droid as being in the same vein. A sudden sharp turn brought them to Century Lodge, a long stretch of houses semicircling an old patch of wild grass dominated by a dirty pond. Lone fishermen sat dotted about its banks, daydreaming and drinking from flasks of coffee. This is it, Century Lodge and Mill. This way, behind the trees there, you would have Luke and Jez's houses, and over this way, if you just pan round, you'll see the trees there. Behind those trees is where the elevator emerges in the story. The den was situated alongside an old disused railway embankment. The two high walls of grass met at the bottom, and a gravel path levelled out as the children approached a long steel bridge carrying a modern railway line overhead. Wooden fences cordoned off a row of back gardens, and the den lay just at the foot of one that looked the least cared for. So you can see there, that's the bridge. The bridge that's described in the book has since been replaced because it was old and dangerous. The embankment isn't as described, a bit of artistic license there because I needed to have the den disguised and out of sight of the public. After a little fumbling, the den was lit with artificial light. Luke watched as Jez's hand steadied the long torch dangling from the ceiling. The girl smiled as his eyes caught hers. This is, under this mound of dirt, is the Anderson air raid shelter at the foot of someone's garden that I used to play in with my friends. And I used to always wish it did have a proper door on it and a Yale lock. And so in the story I gave the characters those things. In real life we did have a torch hanging from the ceiling, and we did sit on upturned buckets. The children walked around the base of the hill to where a stretch of water like a small lake sat lifeless, stagnant. The centre of the lake was dominated by a raised mound, which to the children seemed like an island. They had been trying to get onto it for weeks without success, and now someone had conveniently dumped an old tin bath nearby, which might serve as a boat. Well, this normally is that lake, a stagnant lake. The sun has drained it dry, but you see in the middle there is the little island. Obviously, again, I used to play here as a child. I think we called this area Bricky Lodge as children, and we did want to get across to that island in the middle. They walked carefully up the muddy path and arrived at the foot of the Coal Mountain. All around were shrubs and brambles and trees. This is what we used to call, my friends and I, the Coal Mountain. As you can see, it's not really a mountain, but from a teenager's vantage point, it felt like it was. And certainly further on to the right, it gets higher and higher. The trees obscure it completely. I think We used to call this area Devil's Point or Devil's End because bikes used to go up and down, so daredevil antics. You can still see the tracks, people are doing it today. Luke brought his eyes up level with Jez's and watched the van wobble and shake as it traversed the brick and mud road until it got onto the smooth coal wasteland and came to halt in the wide open space. As you see behind me, this is the wide open space I had in mind. If we go this way, just over there is the railway line that's still in use, Manchester to Southport. If we carry on round this way, behind all of those trees is the disused railway line that has the den on it. Droyd and Century Lodge can be ordered online and from any bookshop. And next time, I'll show you the first of the sequels, Droyd and the House of Shadows.